Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is SRN1. Tonight, we'll be interviewing Humber Grad Jennifer Kowalyshen. We're doing a series where we talk to graduates who graduated in 2012 and seeing what they're up to now. So, Jen, where do you work right now?
I work at 92.9 The Grand in Caledonia. I work for Durham Radio, which also extends to our KX country stations and our online jazz station. Yeah.
So you have several roles. I see that you are the creative writer, producer, on-air host, office manager. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I started out as just a creative writer with Durham Radio. Then I was filling in as a producer as well. And then when we acquired a new station, I kind of said to my boss, I have all these skills. I can go out there and be the producer, be the writer. And I just kind of worked my way onto an on-air part because, I didn't have enough work to do. So I thought I should do more. But that's been a fun sort of avenue that I didn't really know I was going to explore. So I'm happy that I get to kind of have my foot in all of the departments because it keeps my job interesting from day to day.
Yeah.
It's never the same thing.
You got your plate full. So how do you manage your day?
Honestly, I write physical lists out of things I need to do because anything could come up and interrupt me at any time. Being at a small radio station too, I'm also the receptionist there. So if someone comes in to pick up a prize, that's my responsibility too. So really anything can happen at any time of the day. So beginning of the week, I make a list of the things I need to get done so that I can refer back to it. But yeah, again, every day is different. So it gets a little overwhelming sometimes when I have too much work to do. But for the most part, I enjoy the variety and the fact that it does change from day to day.
It's never like a dull moment, right? There's always things happening. So for anyone that is thinking about getting into radio now, what advice would you give them? Because the industry has changed, it's not that it's not the same, but it's a little bit different now.
Yeah, it used to be, if you wanted to get on air, you'd go to a station and work overnight, so it's not like that anymore because those jobs just don't exist. It's all automated. So I'd say my best piece of advice is to be as versatile as you can. Like learn how to produce, learn how to write, learn how to talk on air. Like when you go to a smaller radio station like the one I work at, you need to take on multiple roles. So my biggest piece of advice is learn as much as you can. Even if it's something that you think you won't use or you might not like doing, learn it anyway because those skills might come in handy down the road like mine have for me.
So just for anyone that is thinking about radio broadcasting, you went to Humber. What was your focus when you went into your second year?
It was creative and production.
And when you graduated, where did you intern? How did that go about?
Enough that I had a good relationship with production teacher, and he happened to be a creative director at a radio station. So getting towards graduating, he was like, "Oh, you got all your hours in?" And I was like, "Nope." And he said, "Oh, well, I've got a position. You just need to drive to Hamilton if that's okay with you." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I started interning in the creative and production department, just, shadowing a lot. They would give me scripts and I would submit them to the creative director to look over before we actually sent them to a client. So they taught me a lot about, interacting with the clients and their expectations and timelines and that kind of thing. A little bit about production, how to get spots into the system and on air. And then from there, that was an unpaid internship, which I don't think is a thing anymore. But
going back to that, I know now, before to just intern at any radio station, for me, I interned at several stations and now it seems like it's not the same anymore. Like the radio station has to have an internship program that is paid. And so it seems like it's a little bit different now too, than just work for free.
Yeah, typically no one wants to work for free. So I think it's great that they are paying people. But, as a result of that, companies are hiring less interns because they don't have that extra money to pay them, because they used to be able to get people to come in for free and they would teach them, and most people were happy to be there to just be in the industry doing whatever, but they're not allowed to do that anymore. So I actually do see fewer interns now, which is kind of crappy for anyone trying to get into the business. But I worked for free with that. My first paid gig was overnights on the weekend as a board op at a news station. So news thankfully still goes 24 hours. It's one of the avenues I think that you can kind of get your foot in the door because there are those overnight positions still available. My first paid gig was overnight. It was midnight to 8 a.m. board opping.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And where was that?
I was still also doing the interning thing on the side because that's what I really wanted to do, was the creative and production part of it. So I was still just getting my experience with that. And my internship, the time I worked for free, helped me build a portfolio of all the scripts I had written, which ultimately led me to getting my first full-time job as a creative writer.
So what station was that? The Good Nights?
I was CHML.
Oh, okay.
So
and how long did you do that?
About a year and a half. And then they started to call me in to cover other shifts, like Saturday Night Request Fest on Y108. And they had like a diner tour on Y108 where the morning show was going out and broadcasting live from different breakfast place in the city. And I had to go in and off that show. And then I started getting, shifts on Fresh. It's not called Fresh anymore. Energy. I don't know. They've changed it so many times. But yeah, they just kept calling me in. I was getting more and more shifts. And actually, before I got my full-time job, I applied to be on the street team at that company as well. Because I was like, I just need more hours so I can pay my bills. And I got hired as the street team, but at the same time, I was also applying for a full-time writing job, and then I ended up getting hired for both. So I chose the full-time job.
Right. I mean, that's important to pay your bills too, because I know they always said to us, radio doesn't pay, right? I mean, it's a great job to have if you like being on air and like working in the industry. But as far as your bills are concerned, it's kind of like figure something else out or have a side job as well. So
yeah, I'm still
now that
so I love my job. That's the whole difference, right?
Yeah, it's good that you love your job and you're still doing it. And so as far as programs are concerned, like you went to Humber, but did you look at other colleges as well, or did you just decide,
I did. I looked at Sheridan. I don't know. I really wanted Humber because my boyfriend at the time, his mom worked there, and she's always going on about what a great school it was. And I know like the alumni from the radio program is pretty impressive from Humber. And, it was also close to my house. So that was like a big factor for why I went to Humber. And I'm happy I did. I mean, I had a great time there. I love everyone I went to school with. All my professors were great. So I'm very happy with the decision I made. I can't say any of the other colleges are better or worse because I don't know. I know a lot of people I work with went to Mohawk here in Hamilton. And a lot of great feedback from that program as well. So it's like, I'm not saying Humber's the best, better than any other one, because I honestly don't know. I don't have experience with the other colleges.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I was doing my research too, I called around and then I think I spoke to Neil and he was telling me that it's one of the best. That's like Humber's just well known. And so I think after talking to him, it kind of like made my decision for me. So, and like you, I applied to Sheridan as well, but I applied to their writing program. It wasn't even radio, but I was like, I got into both and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to Humber too. So it's amazing, right? When you think about it, how long it's been since
I know.
Right? I feel like old.
I know. We started school 10 years ago. It's crazy.
Wow, 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, right? It's just like, I know, and I feel like you went back when you're older, you know what I mean? Like even with our class, there's only a few of us that are still like chugging along here, like in the industry. Like when you think about like our class and like everyone who graduated and where they are now, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that didn't pursue it. And that's the thing, because it's hard to get a job. So you have to be very persistent and you have to keep trying. And that's all you can do because there's not a lot of jobs. So you just have to wait for that right opportunity for yourself, right? Which can be frustrating. And I understand why a lot of people just bailed on it and were like, all right, I got to do something else to pay my bills. Like, I get that.
Yeah. That happened to me. I think I kept at it for a year and then I made the short list on this one radio station in like small town in BC. And it was between me and the guy that like an announcer that was already in the station. So they gave it to the guy that was already there. So I get that, what you're saying. And so like fall off and then it's like, oh, wow. And you're just busy paying bills. You don't realize how time flies, right?
Oh, I know. It's like, it's hard for me to believe I've been in the industry for like 8 years. Like, I'm like, what? I feel like I just started my job. Like, I've been full time since 2013. So 7 years. 7 years this October. So
how has radio changed your life?
I'm definitely happier with my day-to-day like life with my job. It's definitely helped me come out of my shell a bit. Like I've always been kind of a shy person and it's forced me to like just forget about all of that. And not to say I still do get freaked out sometimes when I gotta go talk to people. That's not ever gonna go away, but I've learned how to be more open and communicate with strangers basically because I was never very good at that. But yeah, again, the like making less money, like that's changed. I quit finance to go into school for radio. So that was 10 years ago, as we just said. And I'm still not making the same money I was making when I quit my job 10 years ago. So that's any indication of what this industry pays. That's been a bit of a struggle. And really, like, it's kind of become a full, like, 24-hour job for me because I am the office manager. I'm kind of always on call because I have an answer for everything. Like, I know how to do everything at the radio station. So if someone's got an issue, usually I'm the first person that is called. You know, my day-to-day life really revolves around the radio station, but I love it, and I'm happy to be able to help people. And I take a lot of pride in what we do, so it's definitely a bigger part of my life than I ever thought. When I got hired as a writer, I was like, oh great, I'm Monday to Friday 9 to 5. But radio's not Monday to Friday 9 to 5, even if that's what your job is. Like, there's always going to be an event you got to do, or a listener you got to talk to, or whatever happens, and it's all mostly fun stuff. I mean, sometimes you got to deal with angry people.
I think that's with any job.
I actually got a lot of experience dealing with upset people at Humber College because I worked at the business school while I was there taking radio because I had business experience, so they hired me. That was fun, dealing with students coming in and crying because they failed an assignment. It was like, okay, how do I, take this down and not have them crying right here in the middle of the office, So that's really helped me deal with people like they're high strung. Like, people call the radio station sometimes about the craziest things. They're so angry and they call me and I'm just like, oh boy. Like, someone said something on the air that they didn't like, and
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's like 102.1 The Edge, right?
Oh yeah.
So many
I'm
people
sure they got lots
called
of
that
things.
morning show. They're just like upset at what like the announcer said. Like, we've had so many changeovers at that station, right? So
I know.
yeah.
The morning show can't last a year. Like, every year it's changing over. It's crazy.
Does your station hire interns? I mean, like, it sounds like you would be like a perfect person to like sit and shadow with,
Are we hiring? Is that what you said?
No, not right now, but I mean, do you guys have internship opportunities for anyone that's graduating this year? Like,
Most of our sort of entry-level jobs are around like the cruiser and events and street team and that kind of thing. Again, we're small, and we're even smaller now because of the current situation, right? We had to lay off about 15% of our staff. So with a company under 100 employees, 15% is huge. So it was a lot of people. The hope is that once businesses reopen, we'll get all those advertising dollars back and need all those people back that we had. But right now, in terms of entry-level jobs, they're essentially eliminated. So I don't know what's going to happen after all of this, like, because our entry level stuff is, driving the cruiser around, going to events, board hopping, all that stuff. But none of that's happening right now. It's a different industry for sure. Like, usually we're constantly talking about events and trying to get people together, and, we're doing promotions with companies and getting people out in the community. Like, none of that's going on. So it's hard for me to even think about, what kind of jobs we're going to have, because I don't know how this is all going to change radio in general. I don't know if we're going to just have less staff going forward because they realize, oh, wow, we can do it with fewer people. Hopefully that's not the case, because I think we'll all be losing our minds if we have to do any more jobs. But I'm having to do a lot more promotions and stuff because those people have been laid off. So it's been pretty overwhelming, and I can't wait to have those people back that we laid off, because people like me that are in management positions, like, a lot of that stuff falls back on me to make sure taken care of. And it's been difficult. Like, some days where I'm just feeling so overwhelmed and wishing I had those people that were there helping me out, because I don't have them anymore. Like, I had an office, I don't have that anymore. Not that I'm going to the office anymore. I've been working from home, but, he helped me with calling winners every Friday, which is like, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it takes a lot of time out of my day. And when I have to like mail a prize, like, all these things that I used to have someone helping me with, now I have to do those all again. Took me years to be like, okay, I don't want to do this stuff anymore, let me hire someone. And they finally did, and then here we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big adjustment for everyone. I'm Carlene, and this is SRN1. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're talking to Jen Kowalyshen, Humber Grad.